Today I'm joined by Beni Sabti. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Great to have you. You're a leading expert at the NISS in Tel Aviv, the Institute for National Security Studies, so where you're studying Iran, and you're a leading expert at Iran. And you've served in IDF as a researcher on Iranian affairs,
Yeah.
and you're also an advisor on for the Apple TV series Tehran currently.
Yes.
It's an honor to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Let's start with what's going on in the world and what everybody's watching on the news with Iran now currently, and how the U.S. is positioning a lot of carrier strike groups and everything. How do you read the situation that's going on now between both the U.S. and Iran, and Israel and Iran? What's going on with the dynamics now?
Yeah. So it all began with the protests of the people of Iran against the regime because of so many problems inside Iran: the inflation, the lack of water, lack of freedom, of course, for so many years. And of course, if we go back a little bit more, even the Iran-Israeli war had their effect on the protests. Suddenly, after so many years, U.S. president supported the Iranian people, and he claimed that he is going to help them to rescue them from the regime. So we have since then these days of tensions between U.S. and Iran, and of course Iran and Israel, because in Iranian regime eyes, Israel is an agent of U.S. So whatever happens to Iran, it will affect also Israel as the agent, as the state, one state of the states of U.S. in this region. And we expected a fast and quick move by U.S., also the Iranian people. If you say that you are going to rescue them, so make it fast in the middle of the protests. But this didn't happen, and the Iranian regime succeeded to depress them and send them home. So many killings, so many wounded. They estimated the massacre or the killed ones between 30,000 to 60,000, maybe more, and 450,000 wounded people. You know how many people should be in the streets that 450,000 people were wounded? It means that millions were there. And such a thing didn't happen in Iran for so many years, maybe since 2009. So that promise of President Trump was not fulfilled immediately. So it embarrassed the Iranian people. It was a kind of victory for Iran regime. But now we see the military ships and all the tools that U.S. has are coming to the area, are coming to the Persian Gulf to build a very huge power if it will be necessary to attack Iran. And I don't say if just for nothing, because when President Trump promised them to help and he didn't make it immediately, it made the Iranian regime understand that they have time. They will survive no matter what. Trump doesn't want to bring them down. And this is the most important thing for a dictator. As long as you survive, the price is that it's not matter. They can come, bomb some things and destroy some facilities, no matter what, missile program or nuclear program, what is left from that, or terror machine of Iran, or even the internal forces, as Israel did in 12 days war. But the regime survives, the leader, the advisors, some of the generals. It's okay, just like Hamas. And it also happened in the end of the war with Israel, when President Trump stopped Israel from attacking more and more the state facilities or figures. So it made them understand that no one wants to bring them down. This is a very bad mistake. When you do it in Middle East, they understand it in another way. And now we have the negotiations. So what is going on and what can happen in the next weeks or days? It's a very huge question, because Trump is playing in both sides, in both plays, the bad guy and the good guy in the same time. And it's so hard to understand how he thinks. But Iran regime just gambles on the good card for them. This is their understanding. So as long as they survive, they are the winners.
What do you think happened? Because everybody expected Trump to actually militarily intervene, and he said this famous quote that help is on the way to the Iranian people, and all of these ships and all of these airplanes and fighter jets, and then nothing. What do you think happened there?
I think there are some advisors in the US administration that traditionally they talk against bringing regimes to fall. They had very bad experience in Iraq, Afghanistan. They paid a high price for that and nothing was achieved. And maybe the opposite. The bad forces take over again in these countries. And if we can go back also to Vietnam and other cases. So Americans are very afraid of bringing regimes down. So I think some of his advisors told him about that story or that history of what happened with the other countries, and it prevented from him to attack fast. But in Iranian case is another case. The people are against the regime. They cannot fight each other the day after Khamenei is gone, as Khamenei is the glue. If you take him away, you did 95% of the job. Maybe there will be some generals that can make a new regime that is not enemy of the West or Israel. It's enough for us and for the Iranian people. There are so many other good options, and these advisors, they don't take them into consideration. So the Americans are also kind of stuck in the past. They have to look on the future, and Iran is not the same as Iraq or Afghanistan. It's kind of another country. So they have to learn about it more.
Well, what do you think would happen? Because there's so many questions there, so I just have to pick some of them. But one thing that I'm interested in was, what do you think would happen if, let's say, Khamenei gets taken out and the Iranian regime, let's say, would fall? What do you think would happen with the terror proxies of Hamas and Houthis and Hezbollah? Will they fall automatically as well? Yeah.
Of course. It's like you take out that robot from the electricity. You cut them off from the mother. Well, it reminds me the movie Matrix, when the head of that robots gave the order, suddenly all the robots were shut down, those who attacked this Zion or something. So this is what Iran regime is all about. The regime gives them the money, the ammunition, the training, the propaganda, everything. Hamas TV is part of Iranian TV. Hezbollah TV is part of Iranian TV. And it goes, of course, to the rockets and to missiles and the training, everything. The clothes. There's these bandanas, these things that they put on their head, the forehead, that it says, let's be shaheed or kill all the Jews or something. Like we had in October 7 or in Iran-Iraq war. It's the same system. So the moment you take it off and turn it off, that machine, that's it. They don't have no legitimacy, no power, no money to stay there. For Hezbollah has a great problem today inside Lebanon. They cannot even pay the salaries of Hezbollah members. So some of them went away. The best thing happened automatically because Syria also fell. The chain of terror was broken. They cannot bring any money, any ammunition. They bring some through bypassing the Western soldier forces from Turkey. It's another very bad thing that happened. Turkey is cooperating with Iran about terror issues and helping Hezbollah. It's a very strange thing. But they are helping. But it's not enough. It's not enough, and it's a very good thing. And the moment that happens, every one of them can be shut down. And even in other places, the Islamic centers that you have in Europe, they are also funded by the leader. It's a directly office under the leader. The moment you take him away, those Islamic centers who bring propaganda to everywhere in Europe and make these demonstrations of 300,000, 400,000, 500,000, or pray in the middle of the streets, this bad thing, I didn't know that if there is a mosque, so pray in the mosque? Why in the street? But it's just what happened in the Iranian Revolution. So all these things can go away. The calm and peace can go back to Europe, not even to Middle East. He is the glue. He is the problem.
What is it that the Khamenei, the Ayatollah, wants? What is his motivation for all this? Is it like an Iranian imperial expansion that they want to be like the biggest, the strongest, or what is it about? What is the motivation for the Ayatollah?
Yes, he wants to bring back the Iranian Empire, but not the good version, of course, not the Cyrus version, but the bad version. As you see, all these region and the countries that have these terror groups, they are actually kind of a small Iranian regime army. Hezbollah, Hamas, others in Iraq, in Syria, these are armies of Iran regime. They are not just for rescuing the people, and you will see the damages that they do. And as I said, they have these armies also in Europe or in US. So yes, first of all, he wants to bring back the empire. He loves also Soviet Union, the history of Soviet Union and Putin, and he learns from him a lot. He sees how Putin acts to expand his borders, Ukraine, other places. So yes, it influences it. And also he wants to be the leader of all the Muslims. This is another thing that is very important for him. Many figures and people work for that mission. The Islamic centers in Europe and in Western countries are working about that also, because making Khamenei the leader of all the Muslims and not Saudi Arabia, not Turkey, not Qatar is also another purpose of them. So yes, these two things mainly are the most his goals.
But it seems like many of the Arabic nations are turning against Iran. Like most lately is like Saudi Arabia siding with the US, apparently. How do you read that dynamic?
Yes, but the problem with the Iranian Revolution is that they work through the people. They come from below. They don't work with the governments, with the regimes, with the systems. They come from the below. In South America, you have so many Shiite group converted to Shiite. In Africa, people don't have shirts, but they are Shiites suddenly. And sometimes they have shirts with Khamenei's picture, with the leader's picture. This is the only shirt that they have, because they give them some presents and food and I don't know, things, and they buy them. They convert them. They brainwash them. In some parts of Far East, they do that. In Pakistan, in Bahrain, you have resistant movements, and the system is resisting that. The terror groups of Iran that first they come with smile, with bringing kindergartens by free to the people. So they work from there, just like the revolution.
Just like Hamas also.
Yes, exactly. Dawah. It's the same thing between the Shiites and the Sunnis. But after that, they come and ask you to make attacks, bombings, other things, demonstrations against the West, Israel, US, Canada. They have asylum in Canada, but they protest against Canada. It's a very strange thing. So this is the difference. They can smile. Khamenei's representatives can smile to Bahraini king or UAE or Turkey or other ones, but they have another mission to make to bring instability in that places, and someday in their vision to change these countries from inside.
I want to ask you about October 7th also, because here in Norway, where we are right now, a lot of the experts here in Norway say that, October 7th, it was about the oppressed people of Gaza. And when you oppress a people long enough, then, October 7th is what happens. That's what you get when you oppress a people. And what's your comment to that? And how much was Iran involved in October 7th? And what was October 7th about?
Well, the people of Gaza were not depressed. They could come freely to Israel. In Israel, every day about 50,000 people passed the border with a very sophisticated system and just checking them, just like an airport, but by foot. And coming and working in Israel and going back afternoon or staying there for a few days. Life was very good inside Gaza Strip. They had these beautiful shores and hotels, even small hotels and restaurants, and we were envy of them. We wish that we could visit them and eat there because it's so cheap there, and drive there and see some other places, because they could come to us, as I said before, as workers or others. Even we brought many Gazans to hospitals to Israel to rescue them from many diseases. But Hamas propaganda that comes from Iran regime, they don't see that. They don't see the benefits. They don't talk about the benefits. They talk only about murdering Jews, and the Jews took from us this and took from us that, and we are their slaves, and other slogans like that. These are all lies, really are lies. And they prepared this attack for so many years. And when you want to live in peace, you don't put so many efforts and energy in that kind of attack, coming to people's houses, just people. It was not army against army. I wish that it was, but it was not. Coming in 7 a.m. to people's houses, to a 70 years old, to a family of 5 with 3 girls. What, they fight you? No Israeli went to any Gazan house and killed people just for that. Maybe they arrested the father, or killed them, assassinated him. I don't know if he was a terrorist in the middle of the street, or yes, and there were casualties. I know. I'm very sorry for that. And Israel also made some mistakes through this so many years. Yes, but Israel never wants to kill people just because they are Arabs or Gazans or Muslims, but they came to kill Jews. No matter if they are from army, soldiers, girls, boys, older, the babies, and so many bad stories that I don't want to go in that, of course. And it goes back to Iran. All of this system and method goes back to Iran. This is the Iranian method of the revolution. Taking hostages it's Iranian regime method since November 79, when they took the US embassy. Killing people just because they are people, and they are other. It can be women, it can be Jews, it can be Christians, it can be anything. They do it all the time, inside Iran and outside Iran, bombing everyone. There is some theory that Iran regime wanted to do the 9/11, the same thing more or less, but Bin Laden just made it faster. They had all these kind of attacks and theories and goals in their minds, but sometimes they did and sometimes they didn't. So they planned October 7 together with Hamas, with others, with Hezbollah. It should be an orchestrated attack together, 3 or 4 forces from everywhere around Israel. They had some limitations and hesitations in that specific day, so Sinwar did it alone, and maybe it was his mistake, and it was actually, of course, that day was horrible, but that day, that attack brought the falling of Hezbollah, of Syria, of Hamas, of many other terrorist groups. What happened to Iran? It's because of that bad day, but sometimes there is a good thing even in that evil day, in that Holocaust day. So they were all the way in that place, bringing them ammunition, training them. I remember from 2008, even from the internet, delegations from Hamas come to Iran to train, to have trainees about paragliders, to how to come to Israel by parachutes, and many other things. So Iran regime was there from the beginning to the end. Technically, it didn't just happen together, but they were there with their hearts and their minds.
Would you say that Hamas is the same thing as the Iranian regime? It's just another name, another organization, but it's the same thing?
Yes, today more and more. Hamas became like Iran regime, and Iran regime became like more like Hamas. You can see that from what I said before about the survival issue, that the surviving of the system, of the terror organization or the regime is the most important thing, no matter what the price is. The people suffer, okay, it's their duty. The prices, the inflation, lack of water, everything is legitimate for the survival of Khamenei and the first or the second circle around him. It's the same things that Hamas did since the war, and you see, Hamas exists, uh, and they pay a huge price by the people, but they exist. So for them, it's okay. There was a war, but we survived. And Iran can be the same thing. In that 12 days war, they had a huge damage to their facilities, to their generals, to their nuclear scientists, but they don't understand the message, and they don't retreat, they don't regret, they don't come to these negotiations from an honest place to make a progress for the country, for the people. So yes, they are the same.
But what do you think about? So you're saying actually October 7th, the Hamas attack on October 7th really didn't have anything to do with the Gazan people at all, about Gaza.
It's not about freedom. It's not about bringing a better life to them. Not there, not in the West Bank, not in many countries in the region that Iran regime had the influence and brought the instability. Look what happened in Syria for more than 50 years, 15 years. Iran regime was there even before Bashar Assad with Hafez Assad, with the father, but he didn't let them to interfere in his uh, uh, system and regime. Bashar Assad was a very weak guy. He was supported only by Hezbollah. And when the protests in Syria came there, he asked for help, and that's it. This is what Iran regime needs. You call the wrong guy for help. So they took over Syria. This was the reason that Bashar Assad fell so fast in a few days. Iran regime is like a parasite. They come and drink your blood and take the resources and leave you. And this is what they did to Iraq, to Syria, to Lebanon. Lebanon was a beautiful country. It was a touristic country, and see what happened to them. They can do it to Bahrain, to other places. This is what UAE and others are very afraid of. So I think we have to be united against this system. And it's also rescuing Iran people.
What do you think about, because of course after October 7th, Israel had to react and take out Hamas, but was like unilateral, almost condemned and demonized in the Western media, especially here in Norway. Like everybody is focusing on how Israel is committing genocide and how terrible Israel is. What do you think about the Western reaction to Israel after October 7th?
Yeah, it was very bad reaction towards Israel, because it's like looking on the half of the story, half of the picture. As I said, they kind of ignore all the good things and trying to be in kind of a peace from the Israeli side with Hamas, with even with Hamas. Really, we legitimized the terror organization just to have some peace and calm period with these evils. But you cannot make peace with the Satan. And also in West Bank or every other country. Look what happened with UAE or other countries in Abraham Accords. We really want peace. There is no resources in Gaza. We don't have any interest in occupying them. What to occupy? 2 million people to feed them? It's not Israeli interest. It's for such a foolish thing. The thing is, the key is the propaganda. Iran regime and Qatar worked for this propaganda against Israel and telling that story as that Israel is the occupier. Israel withdrew from Gaza in 2005. We didn't want to do anything. Okay, take it. Do whatever you want. We take our settlers out even. We destroy their houses. It's such a bad thing to do to someone, to destroy your house in front of you. But we accepted the price. They don't accept our existence. And Iran propaganda and Qatar propaganda and other terrorist group propaganda, they worked for 30, 34, 50, 40 years about that. to uh, to bring the legitimacy of the existence of Israel under question. In the West, they work in democracies to bring down the democracies. This is why what Khomeini did in France. He was just less than a year in France, but when he was in France and not in Iraq, he was free. He was free. He brought that revolution to happen when he was in a democratic country. And this is what they are doing in the Western world. They bring the evil world, but with, I don't know, with a costume that you can accept that, with a false costume, in that Islamic centers, by praying in the middle of the street, by bringing all these lectures and having all these false professors in every campus and every university in Europe and US or Canada. And they convince you that they are in the right side and Israel cannot exist. And how? How? And Israel does a very bad job in that. I cannot. Public relations, like, let's call it public relations. We are small, we are very few. And Israel and Iran and Qatar are paying very good money for that propaganda. Propaganda is the basic thing. Without propaganda, you don't have bombings, you don't have suicide attacks, nothing. When you brainwash someone for so many years, of course, automatically they came out in October 8th. And I remember even before that, after every operation against Hamas or against Hezbollah in 2014, 18, I don't know, other years, automatically in Britain, in other places, in Paris, in Germany, everywhere in Europe, they come out. This is because you have free dinner in the mosque, and I'm not against mosque or any religion, but they use the house of God for bad purpose. I don't think God wants suicide bombers. I don't think that, really. So if you stop propaganda, this is what I want to say to the Norway government or to any Western other government. Don't be naive. Stop the bad propaganda. Stop praying in the middle of the street. Street is for all of us. It's a property of the country, not even the government. It's property of every individual. I want to pass. I want to go to work on time. Don't let them pray. Don't let them praise the terror organizations. Don't let them make that false demonstrations against the existence of one nation. So I think it's responsibility for all of us.
Do you think Europe and the Western world is naive when it comes to this?
Yes, very much. Very much. When you see, this is the basic thing. When you see that someone is calling for destruction of another nation, it doesn't matter. It can be the penguins in the South Pole. No. It's not logic that all that nation are sinners or killers or blood drinkers. This is anti-Semitic from the 12th century. Really, I cannot imagine that someone comes and say all the Norwegians have to be killed because even if there is a justified, I'm saying just like an imaginary thing. There cannot be killing babies or old people, 90 years old people, women. They do it only to Jews and only to people of Israel, especially because Israel is the expression of the existence of Jews for so many years, so many thousands of years. So they cannot tolerate that. That once we were a nation, we were depressed. There was the Holocaust and many Holocausts in the other centuries, but suddenly there is a state for Jews. Okay, that we cannot accept. We have to go against them totally.
We had this professor here in Norway, professor of history, Hilde Henriksen Våge, who said that, we have to stop saying that the conflict between Israel and the Palestinians is about religion or about anything. It's only about land areas. It's only about the border and the land areas. That's what she said.
So ridiculous. I have a very short answer for that. in the 60s and 70s, the terror organization groups or the Palestinian groups, you know what? They were called, for example, PLO, Palestinian Liberation Organization. Okay? Palestinian Liberation Organization. And there were others with this Palestinian something. Today you have Hamas. What is Hamas? Harakat Muqawama Islamiyah, the movement for Islamic resistance. Where Palestine went? What you are fighting for? Where is that land? No, just like the Iranian Revolution, they want to expand, just expand. Like Soviet Union. They don't care about the land, they care about your existence and not existence, actually. I actually was glad when you call something and you name it about the territory. It's better. You have something to argue. You know, it's your glass or my glass or your table or my table. It's a physical thing. You can argue with that. You can compromise. But if it becomes Islamic resistance, it's also about IRGC, you know? Islamic Revolution Guard Corps. Where is Iran in that name? They are not defending Iran, you know? Their job is not defending Iran, it's defending the regime, the leader. This is actually their kind of official anthem. They are not for Iran. You know another army in the Western world that is not fighting for its country? What? But we are in the Crusades again, but the Islamic Crusades? Yes, we are in the Islamic Crusades. Europe has to understand that. This is the problem with these professors, with these guys in academy, in other influential places. They have a lack of seeing that. I was glad when there were Oslo agreements, and then we have to something to argue about. Okay, you take this place, I take this place. Okay, Jerusalem is a very big problem, but if we talk physically about things, it's like a price, you know. I need these shoes, okay, this price or that price. But if they talk about, no, I don't accept your existence, I can do nothing about that.
You actually grew up yourself in 1972. You were born in Tehran,
Yeah.
and then you escaped to Israel 1987. What do you remember from your time in Iran? I heard you earlier today, you spoke about when there was an election and you had to go there with your mother. Can you tell that story? What was that about?
Yeah, so I was 7.5 years old when the revolution happened. I remember very few things from the secular period. Let's call it secular because it was kind of artificial thing. The king brought many values from West, but the people didn't become Western. So it was not a real democracy. And this is the reason that the revolution happened. Some clerics or other radical lefts that were originally supported from Soviet Union, they brought the revolution to the Iranians, that they were very naive in that days. And since then, things were only about depression, dictatorship, telling you with guns what to do, what you think, no newspapers, only the newspapers by the regime, or TV, of course, no entertainment, no laughing. You know, these countries are something they have something against happiness and joy. You see all these, like the communist countries before the falling of the Soviet Union. As you see them in the movies, they are very sad, gray. All the things are gray. And this is what happened to Iran. And in that case of that elections in Iran, I was 8 years old, and it was the first election. It was a referendum for the Iranian people to vote for which kind of system you want after the falling of the Shah, the falling of the king. So a guy with a gun sat near the ballot, and he sees what you take, which paper you take. If it says Islamic Republic, and it says no to Islamic Republic. So, and you don't have any curtain, anything to hide what you're voting for. This is so not democratic. system. You can see it in the first days of the revolution. And of course, my mother took the yes to Islamic Republic because we didn't want to be shot just because of a paper, and that's it. And this was kind of a symbol to what can happen later. I saw so many times that girls were shot, were beaten because of their hair or their dress. I was hit many times. My friends went to jail because of some shirt that it had a English thing on it on his shirt and things like that.
Because they were
So
afraid of Western influence, right?
exactly.
Hmm.
So yes, no, Iran chose, like Soviet Union, to be isolated. So no to Western values. We don't want that anymore. Iran-Iraq war actually helped it a lot. Iran was busy with uh, resisting Iraq and the war, and many young men went to the war and were killed, and no one could fight the regime anymore. It was a very good thing that happened to the Iranian regime.
How did you manage to escape to Israel?
Oh, it's a very long story, but to make it short, when the harassments became more and more and so harsh, beating every day and attacking my father, my mother, many bad things that just like Hamas, I don't want to go in that. It's a very sad thing, very violent thing. So we decided that we have to run away from Iran. In that days, only uh, very old men or women were allowed to have passports and get away, get out of Iran, but officially. So we had to talk to a smuggler to smuggle out our family and other families, and it happened in January 87. After a lot of meetings and talks with that smuggler, uh, we uh, we were told to come to a border of Iran with another country. I don't want to go in the details. And he took us to his house, and in the afternoon he he brought us after a few hours of driving. He brought us very near to the border, and from there we walked about 9-10 hours until the morning. Many things happened there. The soldiers in the border shoot us, and thank God they didn't uh, hurt anyone. And many other things happened. They almost left my father because he was very weak, and he wanted to rest more, and they said that, okay, you are disturbing the whole group, so we have to leave you here, and maybe the wolves will come and eat you. Okay. So I ran. And after that we were in another country, and we traveled by their cars for some days until we came to another place, and someone gave us fake passports and tickets to come to Israel.
Did Israel accept you in?
Yes, of course, of
Uh-huh.
course. They were prepared for that since we were in the big cities of that place. So we connected to some Israeli figures and the official consulate after that, and they helped us, and they informed, of course, the Jewish agency and other official ministries in Israel that here some immigrants are coming. It was already a thing that happened for a few years, because it I think it began in 82 or something, because especially Jews, they didn't want their sons to go to Iran-Iraq war and to die for nothing. So first they sent some boys, very young boys, 14 years old, 15 years, with that smugglers that they were murderers by themselves, even themselves. But you have to choose between the bad and the worse. And after that, families, other groups, yes.
And what was that like for you to come into Israel? What was your first impression of living in Israel?
It was a shock for the first days or even weeks or months, because we were not used to be free. Even for my mom, taking the scarf hijab was hard in the few days. But after that, you learn to cherish it, to really honor it even. I work about Iran issues in these 35 years because of that. I kind of owe Israel or the world. I know that it's very big words, but knowing and cherishing that you live in a democracy, in a liberal country, and you can exist even that you are other, you are a minority. Okay, well, so what? It, I have rights because I'm a human. We didn't have that in Iran. You have so many uh, layers of people that you are minority, so you are less, and you are that minority, so you're more or less. So, and Jews are in the last place, and homosexuals or other things. So suddenly you can just be, and it's even boring. It's a good boring thing. Nobody is chasing you. You don't have to be prepared with the lies or running or making a party in home. Okay, maybe you make some noise after 12 o'clock, so they can say to you, the neighbors, oh, stop the music. Okay. But that's it. Um wow. Wow. And this is what I want for everyone, for the Iranians, for the Europe, and not that Islamic thing that it's coming to your countries. Israel now knows what can happen. Israel is in a very better place. Yes, very bad thing happened, but we had our lesson. We can manage. Everyone, you saw that what happened with in the war to Iran. Believe me, we can take them all. We can do many things, and we can stand against all the Middle East. Okay, but it's not a military thing. It's an educational thing. These people have to wake up for themselves, not for us. Just like Iranian people. The Iranian people they woke up for themselves, but the problem is that you cannot fight the regime without any help. And the West also should wake up because something is taking over your countries.
We're moving towards the end of the episode. Just a last question. Do you think the Iranian regime can fall now? And sub-question to that is, where does that have to come from? Does that have to come from the inside, from people rising up internally against the regime? Or do you need external help with military intervention from the US or Israel for that to happen?
I believe that the Iranian regime can fall very quickly. They are very weak, and it's not about the strength of the country and its infrastructure. They don't care about that. It's just like Hamas. There are very few loyal figures, for example, for Iran regime. They can betray them, and they can bring a new system there, or the leader actually he is 87. He can die in any minute, or any other cases, and it can be a combination of the two things. The Iranian people cannot do that alone. And also in the history, it always almost happened by external help. So it can happen with the help, not conquering Iran. There is no need for that. Just bombing the sensitive places of the regime, not only the military targets, but as it began in the end of the war with Israel, the regime targets, the leader or other figures that can be very important for them, or some other generals of IRGC. And you see that I don't talk about army. The army is not in that place. The army, sometimes they also suffer from the Iranian regime. So if there is a help from outside and the people can come out quickly again, they are waiting for another wave. It can be done very quickly. This is what they waited for when President Trump promised, but he didn't come. It could be happening very quickly, and this is the reason that the Iran regime is going to the negotiation now to prevent the attack. And someone said in a few months ago that there are millions of Western soldiers already in Iran. The Iranian people, they believe in liberal values, in democracy. Today they are wise. It's not like 78, 79. They know it from social media, from Instagram, what is living in a democracy, in freedom. So there are millions of soldiers for freedom. Just a little bit help. That's it.
Beni Sabti, thank you so much for that you came to my podcast today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.